Alright, it's after 3 o'clock. Welcome to another Oswego Comic Shop Twitch live stream with me, Aaron Z. Lee, aka Pens and Pedals. You can find me at Pens and Pedals on Instagram or pensandpedals.com. Today I'm going to be doing an art demo of using a light box to ink a drawing of a car from issue 8 of Wesley the Robot. I know issue 3 just came out, but I'm working quite a bit ahead because of all this pandemic stuff. We've had a lot more time. So issue 4 is completely finished. Issue 5 is completely drawn. I just have to script it. Issue 6 is almost completely drawn, and I have to script that. Issue 7 is starting to take shape. Issue 8 has some parts drawn, and issue 9 has some parts drawn. So that'll be the full arc of my first arc of Wesley the Robot. Issues 1 and 3 are available at the Oswego Comic Shop. Issue 2 is on back order. I should be getting those sometime this week. Issue 2. I also did a back order of Pizza's Pizza, Son of a Pizza Man, another book that I did, that which sold out completely at the comic shop, so thank you for that. It all adds up because I am an independent cartoonist. I teach art in a local school. That's my main job, but I do this on the side for the love of it. And I always wanted to do my own comics, so I'm finally ticking that box. So, in the background, I also have music playing by my friend Miles George, who also goes by Cuckoo, his solo music, CU-CU, just to give you guys a little bit different of background music, and he's cool with it. So this is music from his album TV Is My Nightlight, and I think you can check out CU-CU at Bandcamp. This is how he spells his name there, if you can see that okay. So what I'm going to do, a lot like last time, I'm going to turn off my overhead light here. Or you know what, before I do that, there's a couple other things I want to talk about. So I went down to the comic shop this week, and I've been looking at these True Believer things that Marvel put out, which are dollar reprints of some of their classic books. They're such a good deal and such a good idea. Like some of the Sam Keith stuff from when he was working on Marvel Comics Presents back in the early 90s. These books are some of the very first books I ever read. And the artwork in these is just amazing. He was only doing 8 pages a month, so he could really do some cool stuff. And it's only $1 to pick up. And what's cool about this is there's many parts to it because it was a Marvel Comics Presents, which is an anthology book. So there's a lot of different stories typically in one book, like 4 different stories. Which I thought was a great idea because that way you can get some new artists and creators working on some characters and I have to put them on a main book. Plus, you can do some really, really good stories and collect them into a collected edition later on. And if you had multiple people working on the same book, you didn't have to worry about filling all those pages and getting tired out. So you can do a more quality book. I thought Marvel Comics Presents was a really great idea. I still buy it when it comes out. Some of the other ones, too, like... it's not Jubilee's first issue, but this is... Jubilee Goes to the Mall with the other X-Men characters. Some Mark Silvestri and Dan Green artwork. Pretty incredible stuff. I'm always thinking about Mark Silvestri and Dan Green, what they were able to do in comics so quickly. I always think about that. My stuff doesn't look anything like them, but I'm always thinking about them. They're very inspirational. I also have this Wolverine number 90, it was originally, which has some incredible artwork in here by Adam Kubert and Mark Farmer. I forget who the colorist is, but this was originally like a big fold-out piece of paper, a big fold-out comic with like double gate folds, which means that this page would fold out twice. Definitely, probably the most epic comic I picked up off the stands back when I was a kid, back in the 90s. Just some incredible work in this. Changing the orientation of the book. Just really cool. And these things are only $1 down there. And then another Mark Silvestri, Dan Green, when they were working on the Wolverine book. This is the first appearance of Albert in LCD. Albert is the robot Wolverine. In LCD, it's a play on words for LCD screen. As a little girl robot that originally was intended to kill Wolverine by being a bomb that he would try and save. But really cool issue there. And I scooped up these because I didn't even know that Alexis Zarit was even doing more Space Riders stuff, so I bought it directly from him. Really cool artwork. I have Space Riders Volume 1 and 2, the trade paperback. Nobody does artwork like him. The colors and line work are really, really cool. If you like Paul Pope, you'll probably like Alexis Zarit. He's really cool. And I also found some other stuff. I was going through my comics and organizing stuff and getting rid of a bunch of stuff. Because I bought a bunch of Dollar Bin comics, and there's definitely some cool stuff in there that I found. But then there's some stuff that, you know, when you look at it a little bit closer, not so cool. But this book, Maelstrom, by Aircell, which is actually was a Canadian air conditioning company until they converted over to a comic book company, or they made it a division. But just real cool monsters in here, and it's a black and white book on newsprint. Very cool. Some inspiration for some stuff that's coming up in Wesley. I don't think that's too much of a spoiler, but I just love how this book looks. They did a really nice job with this, and this was originally published back in 1987. Pretty cool. I found one of the first, well, I think this was the first comic book I ever got, Captain America Volume 1, number 413. And this, I read this thing so much, I mean, you can see the cover is just gone, the back cover is gone. But just some great artwork in this thing, too. Captain America just fighting just tons and tons of villains. It's got some MODOK. It's got Falcon, Shang-Chi. The colors in this thing are great, too. It's Captain America fighting in a stadium, kind of like a wrestling arena. Just an awesome book. I found it again and bought it again in a nicer condition. I have it out in one of my display stands. Also, I've been picking up Canopus by Dave Chisholm, who's a Rochester-based artist. He's done a ton of great work. He just did a graphic novel based on the life of Charlie Parker. His artwork is just incredible. This is issue 4. I still need issue 2 and 3. But it's just really nice work. I think it's him doing everything, too. Yep, doing all of it. In color, too. Oh, and this was the coolest thing. Well, this classic X-Men here, too. This is one of the first comics I had. This is a reprint from 1988. They would do new stories in the back, and they would reprint original issues in the front. This is one of my first X-Men comics, and you can tell because I've read the heck out of this thing. I used to have a box of comics that I would carry around with me on the weekends, like if I went to my grandpa's house or something, I'd just bring my whole box of comics. And this came along with me everywhere. This is one of my introductions to the comic versions of all these characters. And this newsprint and the halftone production of the colors added so much detail to this. I remember in the back they do news stories with Jean Grey. Well, with many different characters, little vignettes. But just the way that it's printed, like you lose, I see all those dots, and you lose some of the crispness of the color. It just makes it look so much more realistic than it does if you look at it digitally. because I bought a collection of these. That's the digital version, and all these are just flat colors, and it loses so much by not having all these textures from the printing process. But a very cool issue. That's where Wolverine met his wife, Mariko, who's a Japanese crime lord family person. But I mean, all that stuff happened a super long time ago. But pretty interesting issue, back before there was a million Wolverine comics. And then this thing was a cool thing that I found. I forget where I picked this up, but I picked up a bunch of Dazzler comics because they were in the dollar bin. But this is actually, there's a fun Reese's Pieces commercial there in Alien. Was this before or after E.T.? It was after E.T., so they're just using more and more aliens to advertise Reese's Pieces. But what's cool about this is it's got Dazzler and the X-Men in it, but it's got pencils by Paul Chadwick, who would go on to do Concrete, which is one of my favorite books. So it's cool that he worked on X-Men. I didn't even know. So I got a Paul Chadwick Wolverine right there. Such a great storyteller. Does a nice job with all that. Yeah, so there's a lot of gold in these old books. Those are the books I'm primarily holding on to, too. It's just the ones that are published in the 80s, just because they were so much more limited with what they could do. But, anywho, that's the show and tell portion of today's show. So now we're going to get to work. So we're going to shut off that main light. I'm going to take off this sheet of our agenda for today. Get up my... I still don't know what brand this is. I got this from Michael's, but this is a watercolor round brush. It's a large pointed round brush. So I'm going to use this to do some inking today. I might even shut my window so I can see a little bit better. There we go. I can see a little bit better. I'm going to use the Deleter Black 4. Probably can't see that too well. I'll turn the lights back up 1 second. Turn that down, then we can see it. There we go. It's got a little cat on it. Alright, so we're going to switch out the lights and we're going to get to work. So this is a 1992 Chrysler LeBaron, which one of my friends had back in our college days. So it's going to make an appearance in the Was of the Robot comic. Let's see. And cars are so notoriously difficult to draw. Cars and horses, but don't worry, I'm drawing a horse in issue number 7. Just so I can get my Drew a Horse in a Comic Book merit badge. There's my arm right in the way. Let's see if there's anybody in the chat. see, at P. John asks, will there be copies of Wesley issue number 2 this week at the comic shop? According to the person that's shipping them, they said that they would be in this week, but with everything going on, I can't guarantee it. Hopefully there will be. Thank you for your interest in that. How's that looking? Yeah, not too bad. Oh, thank you very much, P. John. Priestess Pizza was the first kind of like long form comic I did. I definitely learned a lot on that. I think that book's a lot of fun. But I've definitely learned a lot since I did that, and I'm bringing that work to all that stuff I've learned to all the Wesley books. I'm kind of jumping back and forth between working traditionally and digitally on the remaining books. It might be interesting to ask people panel by panel if they think things were done digitally or traditionally. But it's pretty nice to look at the digital and traditional work next to each other and see that it's very difficult to tell, because that means I'm not using the computer to like do anything I couldn't do already. Just easier to bring along an iPad if you're going to wait somewhere, knock out some pages, or knock out some pages while you're on the couch watching TV. Offset Left is back with a dog emoji. Welcome back. For what I can tell, the audio seems okay. Cool. Oh, hey. Rock the camera there a little bit. Let's take a look. How's this car coming along? Car is so tricky to ink. This would be a lot easier on the computer because you can stabilize brush strokes. But why not go for it? Yeah. There's even some panels in the Wesley the Robot book that are literally in the same panel. There's digital stuff and traditional stuff. drew a face that I didn't like, so I just took it out digitally and put a new one in. Because it's 2020 and we have the technology. Cool. I'm glad that the sound is good. It appears like the video is good too. I don't know what it is, week to week. Could lose either one of those things. Not sure why. How's that looking? Oh, I didn't even notice the title was incorrect. But thank you anyways. You get all the help I can get. That's all good. It wouldn't be the comic shop channel if it was a little bit janky. Yeah, that's part of the charm. Today I'm listening to my friend Miles George. His solo project is called Cuckoo, which is spelled CU-CU. And I talked with him over the weekend and asked if I could play his music during the stream. So there should not be any copyright claim conflict. I've been getting in touch with some of my friends who are musicians and asking them to get me some tracks to play in the background, so that way it's not always the same music that I made. Because I've got some ideas for some new music, but I am focusing on the visual arts currently. Well, I mean, that's what I do for a living, so it makes sense. try. I want to make sure I don't drag my hand through wet ink. Alright. It's starting to look like a car. I should get a plugin that shows what's playing. I should. I'm unaware of such plugins, but I could easily give that a Google. I should get a hold of my buddy Mike Beecher's music, too. I have this playing off of, I think I have this playing off of VLC player. Because I have PC. But if you like this music and you want to buy it off of his Bandcamp, it's his name is just CU-CU, Cuckoo. And he's based out of the Rochester area. So if you see him based in Rochester, you got the right one. Ooh, well done. We have some wizards in the chat posting links. It's all about those cross promotions. No, it's back. Let's see how that looks. And screen doesn't look too bad. Probably some finagling I'll have to do in post, but not unusable. Actually, I'm interested in using a brush that I picked up from the dollar store and see if that's any good. Because they have watercolor brushes at the dollar store in the new crafting section. It's kind of a more fine-pointed brush, so we'll see what I can do with that. It'd be ironic if it worked better than the expensive Michaels brush. So far, not too bad. Now we lost the music. I just use the mat to put underneath whatever I'm working on, because sometimes I might need to cut stuff down, and I just leave it. Because underneath I have a transparent drafting table, so it just gives me an area to work on that isn't transparent sometimes. Or a little bit more cushioning if I sit down and sketch at the drafting table. Well, the more expensive brush definitely holds more ink, that's for sure. Some nice dry brush effects there. Oh, it's already 3:44. Holy cow. How are we looking in the light there? Not too bad. It's looking pretty decent. See, I think that one album is over, so I'm going to switch over to my buddy Miles' other album, Kid Songs. It's not letting me play for whatever reason. It's okay. We'll just switch over to that. Let's go back to the regular large pointed brush. Now that that stuff's dry. Let's see if we can shoot this off so you can see a little bit sometimes when you're doing organic background shapes that don't have to be super detailed, you can let the natural shake of your arm get some of those details in there. Alright, that's pretty decent. And I'm going to see if there's any major details that I missed when I was transferring it over. Because you always lose a little bit of information when you light box. Sounds like Tootsie just ran in from outside. Looks like it transferred over pretty good. I mean, you can definitely tell it's a car. What if I should experiment a little bit with the pavement here? You can always fix it in post or re-ink it digitally. I think that translates pretty well. Have the car kind of emerging from the black background. I think that worked out. Sometimes you take a risk and it works out. But there's a million ways to fix it too if it doesn't. It's all good. Alright, where is the cat? Alright, so there's our 1992 Chrysler LeBaron. Oh, when you zoom it in on camera, it looks even better. Hopefully that'll translate to the screen pretty well. And I can make some more adjustments. Not too bad at all. Not bad for a day's work there. So, thanks for tuning in and putting up with me talking a lot. Which, if you know me, you know that's something I can do. If you liked this work, you might be interested in my Was It the Robot book. Issues 1 and 3 are available at the comic shop now. There's 1, there's 3. Issue 4 is totally complete. I applied for a grant, so I will be putting that into production. If on September 4th, I'll find out whether or not I got the grant or not. Either way, it's still going to happen. And then I've got the collected edition of Priestess Pizza. This should be coming in this week, hopefully. Kind of at the mercy of the printing company and when they ship. But I want the issue 2 of Leslie and issue 3 of Priestess Pizza to come in as soon as possible so I can restock those at the Isugo Comic Shop. So once again, I'm Aaron Z. Lee. Today I did a demo of lightboxing over this car scene of the 1992 Chrysler LeBaron. You can find more of my stuff at pensandpedals.com or at pensandpedals on Instagram. I played some music by my friend Miles, who also goes by Cuckoo, which is CU-CU. The chat has his SoundCloud link. And so I just want to thank you again for tuning in, and for those of you who have been buying the book, it does help a lot because those costs, the revenue from selling the books goes right back into printing more books. So that helps a lot. I've got some friends writing some articles and doing some artwork that'll be in the next Was It the Robot number 4, a pinup and an article. The story and everything is still by me, but all those purchases help me keep going because it is just me putting everything together and printing everything, and not a big company. So I thank you for that. And remember to make more comics, read more comics, and buy more comics. I'll see you next week. Thank you.